Um, I'm gonna say that I'm probably gonna try to settle a debate, but of who is the greatest basketball player of all time. I will say this, in my personal opinion, it has to be Michael Jordan. In my opinion, the other one is what people are saying is LeBron James. To me, when I see this debate, and for a guy that has watched basketball pretty much mid 80s all the way up to now, the way the rules have changed and the way the play style has changed so much, and it's very dramatic from then to now. Uh, Try to compare these two, who is absolute greatest. It's that old saying, just comparing apples to oranges, and it is. When Jordan came into the league, there already was saying people like the Iceman was one of the greatest, probably the greatest player there was. Dr. J. Um, Will Chamberlain is one. Bill Russell. Uh, Especially people like Jerry West. But a lot of these players have changed the rules in the league for them not to be so dominant in the game. And it was pretty hard um, to think that and have to see that. You have to look it up. When Michael Jordan has came in, they barely put in the 3 point line, so he wasn't really going to have a good 3 point shot. Was he a pretty good shooter? He was an okay shooter from long range. Mid range, which I'm going to really get into, he was pretty good with it. He was decent in it, in the mid range shot. But when Jordan came in to the Bulls, as either these guys were already over the hill, ready to retire, or they had problems. When Jordan has came in, he what I saw was that he was always looking for an open lane or a seam for him to get to the basket. While everybody else is trying to set up for the play and wondering, and the defenders trying to wonder who to guard, he was already running past them to get into the basket. That's what I was seeing when I was a kid in the 80s. But a lot of them kind of caught on to it, and 2 3 games into the season, he landed wrong uh, in one of the games. So it was just like, how can I say it? It almost ended his career in that type of way. Here is a player that the Bulls put everything on and was going to build a team around uh, uh, to build a team around for him to help the franchise out, have somebody exciting to watch and bring in the fans or whatever. And did Jordan do that? Yes, he did. Even certain players were amazed of how he plays. Even though the team that he was on wasn't that great, they weren't winning. I will admit, Jordan was not winning on the Chicago Bulls. Larry Bird was winning with his team. If he had Len Bias, if he didn't die uh, at draft night, uh, same night Jordan was drafted, I do think the Celtics would have had at least maybe three more rings under Len Bias, maybe more. Um, Magic Johnson has five, and he came in with a pretty good already team already coming into the league. Jordan didn't have anybody really, if you really look at it. But the '80s, I do think it's a tougher team, a tougher era. Um, if you guys know what hand checking is, hand checking was a thing then, and what it is that when you get a certain type of player to guard you, and they're in front of you, you can put your hand or elbow or forearm on them, and when they try to get to the basket, you could steer them away from the basket, not give them a clear lane to get there. So that you have wanted to make a shot, so it's most likely to miss besides dunking it. And if you're in front of them, they can't go through you. Just a offensive foul. When they're on the side of you, okay, you could kind of somewhat push them off and steer them away from the basket. But if you're on the side and you could reach out with your hand, you could try to see if you could manipulate them to stay clear away from the basket and not try to get a easy shot at or a dunk. Basically, do I think the game was a whole lot more physical then? Yes, I do. Do I think a lot of these fouls that they're giving out was a whole lot harder? I do say that also, but it, all the teams then were pretty much pretty tough because it was very physical of what they were doing. Um, the rules then was more about defense than the offense. To be honest with you, it was more on the defense, on the favor on that side than the offense. You may not get the call, but at least they didn't make the shot, and you have a chance to go the other way if you get that rebound. When you keep doing things like that, maybe you have a great player. That's why a lot of players would say that the '80s would not handle today. I don't think the players today would not handle then either, because it's just different play styles. Like I said, is comparing apples to oranges. What Jordan has done, he has to build himself to get himself the confidence and all that to push through and go through this mental and physical wall to get to the basket. He had to get bigger. He had to get stronger. As small and tiny as he was, he had to get that mentality to get through there. And yes, he got some players and this and that or whatever. Um, later on in his career, especially in the '90s, where he won the six championships and he retired a year or so. But what Jordan has done, he had to build himself to get to that section. LeBron James did it too. I ain't gonna say anything wrong with that. Now, when LeBron James came in, pretty much hand checking was pretty much abolished. Um, now it was more on the change of the rules to on favor of the offense. So it's more threes and more dunks now, and the mid-range game is pretty much almost done or just pretty much abolished, just obliterated. Carmelo Anthony was one of the last good mid-range shooters, in my opinion. But in LeBron's era, because he still kind of looked up to Jordan, and but more of Kobe type of thing. And I will bring up Kobe in a bit. But like I said, the rules then was way different the ones now. No more hand checking. You cannot steer the player or whatever in any way. Um, if they have a seam or they have a clear path to the basket and the defender's not in front of them, you gotta let them have that spot. You gotta let them have that lane unless somebody obstructs them to get through that to block that lane. And that's what really changed most of all. And that's what really makes things odd and crazy to me. Even though LeBron James has the most of pretty much every single record that's out there in the NBA at that time, but you gotta look at it in a certain type of perspective. Even though that he has the most points and all that, that if the rules wasn't changed then, uh, for now, maybe he wouldn't be on that list. Maybe he wouldn't have a clearer or better shot than he does now. That's just my opinion. LeBron James is one of my favorite players, but when you try to say that he's better than Jordan, it's just like I said, it's just comparing apples to oranges. And I will say this: the people that are going to say what about LeBron James, there's going to be somebody out there years later after he has retired that they're going to say that he is the greatest player of all time and he's breaking his records. And you guys will be saying the same exact thing as I'm saying now. For certain type of eras, I think that's fine. It's cool. But now I'm going to say something about Kobe Bryant. Kobe was his own type of player, but he was somewhat almost a carbon copy of Michael Jordan. But he's to me, he did have a better shot. And since everybody has said that this is the closest thing to Michael Jordan, I'm going to say this. If they're going to say that, in 2006, if you guys don't remember, Kobe scored 81 points in a game. In his prime, the peak of his prime. Imagine if Michael Jordan has came in the time as Kobe has, and he could do that. Because Kobe has looked up to Michael Jordan. He has played with still some of the guys from the 80s and part of the 90s that has still played the same hard-nosed type of basketball. I'm not saying this side is softer and this side is whatever. I think the rules has changed dramatically for a business type of sense. For it's more bang for your buck of how much it stretches out, and that's what sucks. It's mainly about business than fans coming in into um, being there, and a lot of people will get that wrong. Crazy thing is, in my opinion, is that with these three players, Kobe, LeBron, and Michael Jordan, when I was a kid, when I was playing basketball, I'm not the best player, but I did play. But I noticed things at certain parks, at certain schools, that there's always that one person that is probably the absolute best in the school or in the district or certain area that it is. That when they walk on the court, that people are start talking about them, that you knew that it was trouble for you or them. And that's what these players were. That you're just like, oh crap, we got a long day ahead of us. And you get all mesmerized of how good these people are. And that's what these players are, all three of them. I will say that uh, LeBron James, I'm going to give him all his credit and everything that he has done in his career. Is he the greatest of all time to me. No, I'm in my opinion, for me, he's not the greatest of all time. Um, Jordan said it best that he cannot say that he is the greatest of all time. Because he has never played against people like Jerry West, Will Chamberlain, and all these other players. Is like I can't say that because it's not fair. It's certain different eras. Dwayne Wade said the same thing, and he said that Kobe Bryant is probably the best basketball player in his opinion. That's his favorite player. Everybody has a different favorite player or favorite type of style or whatever they're doing. To me, I love the 80s because they opened up something that they had a certain richness of style that they had. Yes, you may see part of Pistol Pete or whatever with Magic Johnson and all that, even though he want to be somewhat like Oscar Robertson or maybe Michael Jordan. You see something like Dr. J or something like that. It's just get to the point, but yet he does something a little flashy here and there once in a while, and that's a to me it's a great thing. Um, and what they have done with Michael Jordan with David Stern, he had marketed somebody that transcended from a American game to a worldwide type of thing because of one name, pretty much Michael Jordan. Even though we still had Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Karl Malone was getting in, Reggie Miller was coming in a little later. These are some of the absolute greatest names in the game that they had their own type of style to get where they're at. Um, it was just some richness of flavor then in the 80s. In the 90s, it was just, to me, the triangle offense with the Chicago Bulls, what they have done, changed the game with all the other players and other teams in the league because nobody has tried that. Nobody has did what they were doing. And since there's no playbook to it, you have your options and it was like do what is best for you guys to do, but at least pass the ball around. You guys have to share the ball. You guys cannot say, "Hey, best player gets the ball." But it was just you had to be a cohesive team, pretty much. And is there any teams doing that now? No. The only other team that was doing that was the Lakers when Phil Jackson was on there, and that was pretty cool how they won their 5 championships. Fact of the matter is, we all have our own favorite players. We all have everything that we need to do. Um, we cannot compare apples to oranges at all because this is a very big gap between these 2 or 3 players ever. Very big gap in rules and everything else that has been around. And this game has been around for 75 years. And it's just, I'm just sick and tired of this debate right now. Um, it's just like baseball. If Babe Ruth played the extra 15 games per season, would he still have the home run record in the season and in the career? Would he? Can he? What would have happened? It's all a what if. Like I said, it's comparing apples to oranges. And whoever your favorite player is, I don't mind. Do I really care? No, but I would like to have your personal view uh, uh, on it if I could ask, because I'm an '80s kid. I started off as a Magic Johnson fan because I am a Laker fan. Even though I've was a Michael Jordan fan for the longest time now. I'm still the biggest fan with the Lakers. All right. Um, let's just stop having this debate, and like I said, we gotta stop comparing apples to oranges at this point now. All right. Like